All right, so let's play around with a very simple database. We'll use some clinical data in class. So this is the Seinfeld food database, and it has data that relates to all the foods that occur in all the episodes of Seinfeld. Before I work more with Python, I want to show you that Firefox has a very nice SQLite plugin. And I highly recommend installing this because it's just, in my mind, it's a great, wrong place. I use it all the time for working with and browsing databases. So here you see in this Seinfeld database, Seinfeld food database, there are 4 tables. We've got episodes, food types, food, and food episodes. So the episodes consist of a ID, the season, and then the name of the episode. So food types, here we have a row that's ID, and then these bakery, cereal, chicken, fowl, so on. Then we have specific foods. So you see we have a row ID. So the type ID is going to be a foreign key. I think if we look at our, let's see, if we look at the structure, no, it's not a foreign key. Anyway, okay. And then we have, let's see, food episodes. So we have the food ID occurring in an episode ID. So this is the structure of the database. All right, so let me close that and get back to our notebook. All right, so we need to get this stuff in here. Let me copy this. Okay, we're going to create a connection to the food, and then we're going to start off by selecting all the columns from food types and printing our results. So we see the same thing we saw in the browser. Okay, we don't need to reconnect. We already have that. So in this case, I'm going to select, and I have to confess, I am not a SQL expert in any stretch of the imagination. I use these databases, I use them in very simple ways. But what we're doing now is we're going to select from the table foods, the column name as name, and from the table episodes, .name as episode, and we're doing a join. And so here we're taking data from multiple columns, from multiple tables, and joining them together. And then I'm going to do a fetch many to return the first 10 results of this, where we're joining the data from foods and episodes. And as we run this, we see that bagels are in episode The Strike, bagels and raisin in episode The Strike, so on. So there's SQL is just a whole class in itself to learn how to do these joins, and we will just do very, very simple things with this in the class. So here I'm using the fetch many to say how many of the results I want to return. I can use SQL itself to limit how many results to return. So in this case, I'm saying limit it to 10. And I get the same values back. In this case, we've got the same, we're doing the same query, but now I'm going to use fetch one at a time, and I'll be able to hit any key to exit, enter to continue, getting different values, and then I quit out of it. All right, so here, so that's, and you can play around with it. You can use the SQLite Firefox plugin to browse the data and see what it looks like, and just come up with different kind of queries to explore. Here I'm just going to kind of wrap this up by creating a database in memory where I'm creating a table with names and numbers. So I'm just going to have some text called name, and I'm going to have an integer and a floating point value. I created just this list of names, and I'm going to randomly choose something from. I'm creating this data with a list comprehension. So I randomly choose a name, I randomly choose an integer between 0 and 100, and I randomly choose a floating point number using a Gaussian distribution with a mean of 35 and a standard deviation of 10, and I generate 100 of these. Okay, then I use the execute many command. I'm going to insert into the table name numbers, into the columns name, num1, num2, the values that are going to be inserted in here by the SQLite, the three tuples that are contained in this list of data. So the execute many is going to go through that whole list. So every tuple is going to be inserted in. Make sure that was evaluated. I do the execute many. Now I'm going to execute select all from name numbers, and I'm going to fetch 10 of them. So you see I have a Reese with a 44 and a 36.7 and so on. Now I'm going to just start formulating some where statements. So I'm only going to select values from name numbers where num1, the integer, is less than 20, and the floating point number is greater than 35. There I'm fetching all of them. And in this case, I'm going to just select star from name numbers where num1 is greater than 90 or num2 is less than 25. And let's see, we can do some constraint on the name. I'm trying to see if there's any common. So we have names that end in N. So I could, let's do this. And oops. And we say that name -1 equals N. So it's just a single equal. Oops. Okay, forget that. We'll play around with something like that later.